the panelists, and I'll be happy to help you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to have you. We're so excited, like Gina said, to share the results of a makerspace that we hosted. And, you know, it's not just about makerspace. It's about giving you guys strategies and resources that you can use in the classroom. So we're very happy to be here. This is the final session of the Virtual Training Institute. How sad but exciting, because the recordings are coming and I haven't been able to watch everything, so I'm excited to watch the recordings. I am Rachel Riggs. I am an ESL instructional specialist at Frederick Community College, and so my background is in ESL, although I dabble a lot in digital literacy integration in ESL instruction and EdTech implementation. So, and this is my lovely colleague. I do want to give a disclaimer that Lama and I are both fully vaccinated, and we were very excited about giving this presentation together in the same room, and we don't want to wear masks and muffle the sound. So I hope everyone's okay with that, but we're okay. We're both vaccinated, and we're excited to move into the next phase of getting back into offices and classrooms. So,
hi everyone, I'm Lama Masri. I also have an MA in TESOL. I'm an adjunct ESL instructor at FCC. I also am a technology geek. I love being able to teach online. Actually, that was like such an awesome experience this year, and discovered like so many tools. And I'm so excited to be sharing what we did within Makerspace. That was a great project, and we're so proud of what we've done. So let's get started.
Okay, let's get into it. All right, you guys. So first, we do want to acknowledge a number of educators who partnered with us in the work that we're going to share with you. These are their names. I think some of them are even here. So if you are here and you want to say in the chat box, I did the makerspace and they made me work too much, but look at what we've done. And you can do that. We're so thankful to all of these people for helping us out. We also want to say a special thank you to Xavier Munoz. This was his idea, and he really put a lot of work into it. Liz Pandya and Melissa Nankin are both on the Maryland TESOL board, and they helped us organize it. And then we had sponsors, Color Vowel Chart. They sponsored our event and gave free training to everyone who participated. Maryland TESOL hosted the event and helped us to recruit. And Literacy Minnesota, as you'll see, they gave us the resources to use and adapt. And so we just want to say thank you to all of those amazing people. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. So for today, we want to talk about the makerspace itself, because it's an exciting and innovative way to get educators together and do PD that actually benefits everyone, instructors and students. And then we want to, of course, dive into the ESL story banks and show you what those are and how you can use them in the classroom. Lama is going to give us some tips for Jamboard and Wakelet, two amazing EdTech tools that have so many different applications in the classroom. And then we'll talk about even some next steps if you want to level up in any of this and go forward. Before we start all of that good stuff, we want to hear from you using one word, because it's going to make a word cloud. What do you prioritize when you're teaching beginner ESL learners or when they are in your class? Let us know. So you can just go to polev.com/RachelRiggs893, or you can text RachelRiggs893 to 22333 to give your answer. So one word, what do you prioritize? Sound off. Or if you want to put it in the chat, this is going to have a limit on it and not everyone will be able to participate. So if you want to put your word in the chat, we want to hear from everyone. Take a sip of coffee. Okay, Natalie says vocabulary. Cool, Natalie, you're in the right place. Ari says encouragement. Good. That's why I left it open-ended. I wanted to hear not just, you know, the language skills we prioritize, but also what socio-emotional, what cultural awareness things do we focus on? Okay, comprehension, super important, right? Mm-hmm. Organization and good habits. Thanks, Pat. Annette says speaking.
Confidence, pronunciation, patience. Great. Repetition, Jenny. Susan says listening.
Love it. We got a big comprehension. That means a lot of people are saying comprehension. Support. Yes, good, Beth. Scaffolding, support, flexibility. Awesome, you guys. Word search, cool. Pronunciation. Joy, oh, I love that. Prioritize joy, always. Vocabulary is getting big.
Comprehension and vocabulary. Yes.
Okay, well, you guys all came to the right place today. We're going to be talking about, I'm not going to talk about joy, but I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk a lot about, comprehension, pronunciation, speaking, and the resources and strategies that we'll share are focused on all of those. I love it, Will. Collaboration. I've been in Will's class. It's true. He does focus on that and prioritize that. Okay. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay, so before we get into the ESL story banks, what they are, how you're going to use them, I want to talk a little bit about the EdTech Maker Space. I hope any PD people in here will perk their ears up for this part, because maker spaces are really an exciting idea and way to encourage learning, but also to expand the resources that we have in our field. So for the Maryland TESOL EdTech Maker Space, this was born out of a problem, as things are. We noticed with the move to remote learning, we were facing a special and unique challenge with beginners, not just in terms of outreach, but in terms of instruction and what materials we had available for them, what was remote friendly, what was mobile friendly. And so that is what the Makerspace came out of, was that gap in resources for remote instruction directed toward pre and beginner English language learners. So we're thinking NRS levels 1 and 2. And then of course, as we saw during the pandemic, in terms of digital inclusion, things really needed to be functional on a smartphone, because that's what so many of our learners had available to them. So the solution was, and this, like I said, was Xavier Munoz's idea, coming out of a makerspace that he and I participated in together. The solution was to gather a resource that was already known, Literacy Minnesota's ESL story banks, which are in PDF form. So they were not readily useful in the classroom. We got 30 participants together, and we did a month of a service learning PD. And so I'll show you in a second what exactly the learning was and what exactly the service was, but you can kind of think of it as people were learning tools and strategies, and then they were also adapting the ESL story banks with their new knowledge. We managed the project using Google Classrooms, Google Sheets, Google Docs, and so that's how we got everyone together and communicated with everyone and tracked the progress and shared different resources. So the makerspace, kind of the concept is these two things, right? Learning and creating. And so when we got everyone together, we learned together the instructional strategies that were applicable to pre-beginner and beginner ESL learners. And we also learned about a new resource. I didn't know about the ESL story banks until we did the makerspace. And so we all got to get very familiar with that resource. And then we also learned two EdTech tools, Jamboard and Wakelet. So we gave training in all of those things throughout the course of that month. And then the participants did independent work creating Jamboard activities from the ESL story banks and putting the resources into Wakelet Collections for instructors. So they learned and then they created something that is going to benefit the whole field of ESL. So what are the ESL story banks? The ESL story banks are something that Literacy Minnesota created a while ago, and they are basically resources for full lessons for building literacy skills, reading skills, vocabulary, spelling, and all of those things. So they include a pre-reading to activate schema. And I'm just showing you this because I want you to see that the resources themselves are actually very high quality and based off of evidence-based strategies for this level of learner. They also offer explicit instruction in vocabulary before the reading. And then they have the numbered sentences. And so in the beginner, this is presented as a paragraph. And then the pre-beginner, this is presented as numbered sentences for that chunking and for building numeracy as well. And then they have the comprehension check. So it's yes or no questions about the reading, and then guided practice in phonics and a word building activity. And so this is where we get into the makerspace, right? All of that stuff prior is pretty easily adaptable to a Zoom or a remote instructional format. These next activities, they introduce such a rich part of the lesson because they're multimodal. They're a different way to work with the concepts. And so what you did with the PDF, if you printed it out, is you would actually cut these out and learners would match them. And so that gives you the active learning as well. So they did that with words, and then they would do that with sentences that were color coded, and then they would do that with vocabulary, matching it to an image. And so those are great activities. Those are based on strong instructional strategies and learning strategies, but we couldn't use them in the emergency remote teaching that happened over the last year. And so that was our focus, is how can we adapt these great activities for learning into something that learners can use right now. And so what we did was we took these activities and adapted them in the makerspace. So everyone took a story or a story bank, and they took the sentences or the activities and created Jamboard activities with whatever story they were using. So you can see from the sentence building, we made a Jamboard activity to build a sentence, and students can drag the words around to make the sentence. If you do it on a mobile phone, you know, we use the sticky notes so that it would be nice and easy for them to grab them and move them, and nice and big for readability. And then we took the, oh, sorry guys, this is the wrong image of the PDF, but that's okay, you get the idea. We took the word families and we built word family Jamboards where they could make words that have, you know, the same ending or the same beginning sound. For phonics, same idea. They were building words, this time with all different endings, and putting them together from the reading. And then we used the color vowel chart. I'm going to throw in a disclaimer here that the color vowel chart is an amazing strategy for teaching spoken English, even building reading skills, and it's wonderful. I love it. It is a paid training, and so if you were to use these materials, you would obviously want the training in color vowel chart. So I just want to make that clear, so I'm not falsely representing anything. But anyway, so here we made the Jamboards using color vowel chart images so that students could practice recognizing the stress and the vowel sounds in the vocabulary words and organizing them according to the color vowel chart. I'm sure we even have people here who are trained in color vowel charts, so that's a new resource you can use. And then we collected all of these into Wakelet Collections. And so if you look at this image here, this is an image of the pre-beginner story banks that were created. Gina, yes, they should be color vowel chart trained to use that resource, but of course they can use the other Jamboard resources. Now, it's not behind any kind of wall, so everyone can access it, but if you're not trained in it, it would be difficult to use or to understand what to do with it. So it is open, and it's just that one resource. Yes, none of the other phonics, word family activities have color vowel chart in them. Thank you for clarifying that for everyone. And so then we put them in Wakelet Collections, and these Wakelet Collections are free to everyone. They are openly accessible. That means you do not need a Wakelet account. You don't need any kind of account to access these. It's a single URL that you can click on and you can open it right up and use it. They are designed for classroom use with students. They are not for commercial use in any way. I don't think I need to say that, but I'm going to say it. And they're instructor facing. So when you look at the Wakelets, you're going to see notes to teachers, and we'll explain in a minute how you would pass these to students for practice. When you open up the Wakelet, if you open up, for example, Max Has a Job, the first thing you'll see is the story itself. And so if you recall from the PDF, those numbered sentences, it's going to look the same in the Wakelet. It'll have the numbered sentences. And part of the reason we chose Wakelet is because it's mobile friendly, but also because they have the immersive reader. And so if you were to present this during class, you can use the immersive reader so that students can listen to the story as well as reading it. And within the immersive reader, there are a lot of cool settings to adjust size, to adjust the visibility of it all. And Lama will get into some of that in a minute when she talks about Wakelet tips. How are we doing on time? 12:20. Oh, we're good. Okay. And then we also made the Jamboard. So along with the Wakelets, after you do the reading portion, you get to the practice portion. And within the practice portion, as you can see, instructor facing, it's telling you how to use the Jamboard activities. And you have the option of previewing them before you make a copy or making a copy. And so if you click on copy, it will actually bring you to a page that says, would you like to make a copy of Max Has a Job, for example. And then you just click make a copy, and that copy is automatically stored in your Google Drive. And so it's now your file, your Jamboard. You can edit it and use it however you want to, but it's ready to go for you if you just want to use it with learners. Then once you have the Jamboard, you can share a link with your students for practice. You can share a link that they can all use together, or you can post it in Google Classroom and make a copy for each student so that each student has their own Jamboard to manipulate and move around and practice with. And they can even do that outside of class, in class, either way. Synchronous or asynchronous are new vocabulary words from this year. At the end, there is a Flippity activity. So if students have access to a computer through your institution or at home, they can do typing practice with the stories. So again, that multimodality, presenting the information, the concepts in many different ways. And so they can type out the story that they just read, practice vocabulary with, and all of that good stuff. So I love the little addition of the typing practice for building digital literacy skills. So let's look at them. We have, like I said, the pre-beginner story bank and the beginner story bank, and Lama's going to open them up and show us what you can do with them.
All right. So with the pre-beginner story bank, it's loading up. So yeah, you have all the.
My scroll is reversed.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm using Rachel's computer. So, all right. So you have the stories. There's a whole list of stories that you can go through, and they cover a wide variety of topics that are relevant to everyday life. So let's say we're gonna go with the first story. If you click on it, you can view the collection, and now, this is probably what you will see. You might not see the edit button, but you can see these three buttons definitely. Mm-hmm. And once you click here on this, you can create a copy of this collection. So that way it will save on your own Wakelet account. And that would be your own personal copy. So, and then you're able to adjust it. You can add to it if you want to, or you can just use it as is, but that way you can select the Wakelets that work for you and the topics that work for you and keep them on your own account. So as we scroll now, you can see here we have the instructions for teachers to tell them, you know, how to use this resource. And as Rachel was mentioning, the immersive reader it's a really wonderful thing. I love this. My students love to use this when they're doing reading, and even though they're advanced level. So because a lot of them don't know a lot of the words and how to say the words and how to read the words. So this takes away some of that kind of anxiety of reading.
Max has a job. 1. This is Max.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's really a great tool. You can adjust the speed. So students can adjust the speed, or you can adjust the speed for the students as you're doing it. You can pick your reader, male or female. I know, that's interesting.
Fun.
So it's really, and it will show the whole text. So it will read the whole text.
And I just want to show these over here too, because I know our videos
Oh,
are
I will
blocking
see
them.
those, yeah. So also you have, of course, for the visually impaired people over a certain age, you need to make your font size a little bigger, or for those who are still young and have full sight, they can make it smaller, changing color. Also there is, here it can highlight part of speech. This is all customizable to your needs. So this is available for teachers. You can customize it to how you want it. You can actually have them do syllables, and once you do the reading.
Maximum.
So
2. Max is a man.
yeah.
3.
So
Max is happy.
Sorry.
There we go. There's
Yeah.
these
So
are all
here
one
it is.
syllable, but
Yes, one syllable. So yeah, you can it will highlight certain things also. For instance, highlight the nouns, highlight the verbs. And this is really such a wonderful, wonderful. So like I can spend hours playing with this.
Yeah.
And of course, there is the Google Translate feature. The Translate feature, you can choose. They can choose a language to translate, especially, students love to do that a lot of the times. If you're comfortable to kind of know the word in your own language.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the picture dictionary, which is really interesting. I haven't used this one. Have you used the picture dictionary?
I haven't used it.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, let's see if it's on. But I
so
don't
it
see
looks it's
pictures.
on, but I don't see pictures. So these features within this immersive writing is really wonderful.
There's one more I want to show. Sorry.
Okay, sure.
This is the problem with co-presenting.
Okay.
I mean, with
Yes,
a big mouth.
yes, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
I like this one because I do think
Okay.
it helps, like with readability, to go
Yes.
and see just that
One by
line
one.
and move to the next line. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
I was going to go ahead. So the resource is really, it's a mini lesson. So you can base the whole thing on one lesson and do the activities. Again, these are, you make copies. So once you click on it, it will prompt you to make a copy, and that will store on your own connected Google Drive. So whatever Google Drive you have on your browser, that will, this will store into that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I'm gonna make a copy just to show how
Yeah,
it's
let's
gonna
make a
look
copy
like.
and share it with them, and
Yeah,
they can
it does not
play with it.
like-
It's just taking a minute, I think.
All right. Of course, technology issues.
Of
Here we
course,
go.
they're like,
Yes.
no, you can't show them this. I just want to check the chat real
Yeah.
quick. Okay, yes, all of this free, Malika, absolutely
yeah.
open, because we are educators and we should not be paying for the work that we're doing and things we're creating.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
This is resources created by teachers for teachers and for free. So,
and Eileen, they can do the manipulation of the sticky notes on a phone. In fact, if you want to get connected on your phone and use it to look at the Jamboard right now, you could do that. Is there a link to the collection of the stories? Yes, and the link is in our slides, which will be shared as a follow-up to the session and on the Adult Ed BTI webpage in the archive too. Is there a link to the collection of stories? Yes, there's a link.
can
yeah,
you share
okay.
it in the
Yeah, actually, yeah.
yeah, we can
We'll
share
just-
that. Yeah,
we
we'll
will
share it in the chat.
Put it in right now.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'm going to share the link to the 2 Wakelet collections for you guys to check out. And we'll share the link to this Jamboard as well, so you guys can see kind of how that works. I gotta get out of here. Is anybody eating lunch out there? You guys, I hope you're eating lunch during this. My My students love to use the Jamboard for sentence writing. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, Marissa. Great idea. You can add the text onto a Jamboard. So there are the links to the Wakelets. Taco Thursday, nice. Well. And then, Catherine, I haven't heard of that. Yeah, email us, and I would love to check out that resource. Thank you. I'm going to share the link to this Jamboard. Now, what's going to happen is only 25 people can get into this Jamboard at once, so only 25 of you will be able to play with it. Unless you go to the Wakelets and make copies of your own, then you can play with those. So when you share with students, you just click that share button. And if you want them to work on it together, then what you want to do is make them all editors and then copy the link and paste it into the chat box. And now 25 students can jump in here and they can annoy each other by grabbing the same sticky notes. And so that's why there's also, we highlighted the option of sharing a copy for each student.
And I'll show you how to do that actually. There's a little neat little trick.
Yeah. So, okay, so we can see now we got some people in here.
Moving things around.
And
then there are like 5 different slides for this. So you guys can look at the different.
Yeah, if you go up to the top and click the arrow to the right, you can go to another frame. That frame was too chaotic for you. There are 5 frames. So if you click through, there you go. We got somebody on frame 4. They were smart. They ran ahead. Yep. Great. Cool. Good to see you guys in there. Okay.
All right.
Feel free to keep playing with that. I'm going to give it back to Lama here.
So yeah, so that's what the Wakelets would look like. These are the beginner story banks. I'm just going to quickly show you how they look, what they are. The topics for each story is very similar to the pre-beginner ones. So you might have actually similar ones. For instance, my daughter is sick. I can't sleep. The perfect dress. They're very familiar. And the format of these will, like, I'm just going to show you very quickly what the text looks like. Okay, here we go. I can't sleep open. So the story itself is more of a paragraph. So it caters to that beginner level, but it has also the sentence builder and vocabulary with colors. It doesn't have the phonics or the word families in there, but it has also the flippity and, you know, all the other resources. I
want to point out too, one thing that all of these were designed for adult learners. So all of these topics are specific to adult learners and entering the workforce and family literacy and those kinds of topics. Yes, you can make copies of the beginner stories as well. We have.
I have to activate the copy feature. I haven't activated it yet, so it should be activated today by the end of the day. So you should be able to make copies of all these collections. Okay.
I'm just going to get full screen again. So
exit and then go back.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right. So just a little tip, since you're using Jamboards, and I know a lot of you probably are familiar with this tool now. There is a way to make the link copyable if you're, and so that way you can share one link, and then once people click on it, they will make a copy for yourself. So that way it's really easy. It's if you share the link with your students, they click on it, and each one of them will have their own copy. Unfortunately, you cannot see what they do with their copy, but that way they can, you know, work on it the way they want to and makes it their own personal copy. I also prefer to make background stationery on my Jamboards. That way they will not mess up with the original text that I want to be there, but they can, for instance, write on it, you know, scribble, circle, do anything. And I use a lot of the shapes to highlight or to hide text. So I'm just going to show you very quickly on this video on how to do these things. So when you when you look at the address on top, the URL address at the top, at the end, it says viewer. So if you delete that little viewer towards the end of the address, and then you type in copy, now that link will allow you to, when you share that link, it will automatically generate copy for each person that has the link now. Now you have to make sure that your share feature on that particular Jamboard is open, so that it's not restricted, it's public. So make sure you always have those share. When you click that blue share button, make sure that you change that into public and not restricted. So that way everybody can make copies of the Jamboard. Another thing that I like to do is make sure that you see, if you see this text here, it moves. You know, this is the text that we entered. However, you know, you want your text not to be messed around with. You want students by mistake to delete it. So what I usually do is I take a screenshot of the original Jamboard and then use background and then upload that same picture into the background. And now this text is totally, you know, bulletproof. So nobody can change anything. You can erase everything on it and it will stay pristine. The other thing that I love doing with my students is sometimes highlight the text using the feature of the drawing features or the shape features. I also try to hide the text sometimes to do like a recall, or, you know, use your own words to retell. But I keep the text here. So I use the same shapes and boxes, make them white, put them on top of the text. So that way the text is hidden, and then just pull it out when we want to see what, you know, the original work. So these little tips actually make the use of Jamboard really a lot fun. So that's what it is. Another thing, oops, sorry, how do we exit here?
Just escape.
Here we go. Okay. And so we're done here. Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. All right, here we go. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Wakelet. And like I said, I showed you the immersive reader. The other thing about Wakelet is when you're using it, you can post when you create those little posts in there, you can add many things such as PDFs. You can add tweets if you want to, Google Docs, YouTube videos, Flipgrid videos, many images. As you see, we have so many images in ours. You can also customize the interface. So if you don't want it to be a scrolling interface, you want it to be, sorry. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm having,
It's okay.
Here we go. I lost my place. Here we go. So yeah, customizable interface. And also these collections can be embedded. So each one of these Wakelets can be embedded into a website, into a Blackboard, for instance. So by doing the share, clicking the share button, you have the embed feature, and you can embed each one of these Wakelets. When I said you can change the how it looks, is when you make your own copy of this Wakelet, now you're able to edit your own copy. So when you click on edit, you can change, you go in and you can change the layout, and you can make it to suit whatever design features you want it to be.
And then you can also, I want to add, because these are instructor facing, what you could do is you could just remove the notes to the teachers and maybe the preview links, and you can share just the Wakelet with students, and they can make copies and do independent study that way.
Yeah. Let me go back into, oh, sorry. Can you go back into full?
Yeah, let me see. And what I'm doing right now, you guys, is I'm going in and I'm making sure that everything is copyable, so that as soon as you guys get in, you can start copying the collections and have them for yourself. Okay, so now.
And then, there we go. So, And then the last thing, other things that you can use Wakelets for is to create this is something separate, and this is just ideas I just wanted to add, creating portfolio for student work. You know, if you have more advanced students, and you can have them create portfolio of their own, like for instance, writing work, or maybe a journal portfolio or something like that. And also what we have in these Wakelets, if you take away the instructor guides, you will have a personalized learning menu. So students will have like all the activities, and they can do it independently. This is a big deal right now, the personalized learning menus. Having students interact online and do things on their own and pick and choose what they want to do is a great way to use Wakelet. And finally, we're waiting to hear about more makerspace opportunities. However, meanwhile, until we hear something, we recommend that you guys check out our MarylandTSAL.com or go to crowdedlearning.org to see what future makerspace opportunities are going to be available. I don't know, Rachel might have something more to say on this.
Yeah, I just want to say, you guys, use them, please use them, manipulate them, play with them, and let us know if you come across them and you're like, oh, this link doesn't work, or even if you have an idea, you know, you're like, what if we add this to all of these Wakelets? Please email us. We created a Google account just for this project, eslmakerspace@gmail.com, and we would love to hear, of course, from you guys. We also would encourage you to become a Maryland TESOL member. This was all part of Maryland TESOL's spring event, and we run tons of amazing, innovative PD like this. The fall conference is coming up, so make sure you don't miss out on that. There was a presentation that I want to shout out because it applies to these learners, this audience in particular, the LESLA presentation that was done. And I know Gina will be giving us a recording of that. I had to miss it, and so I'm looking forward to watching the recording. I would encourage you guys to as well. And then World Ed, Crowded Learning, they do a lot of makerspace stuff. I know they'll be running a makerspace camp this summer. So if you go to this website, crowdedlearning.org/ourwork/ETMS, you're going to find updated information about future opportunities to do service learning type stuff like this. I'm going back to the chat really quick. I just want to make sure I'm making everything copyable, Evelyn. So yes, you'll be able to copy it onto your own Wakelet account. Eileen, they do not need an app. They just need a link, and it's very Google friendly. So if you're using Google Classroom, it's easy to share with learners via their Google Classroom app if they do have that. Annette, I'm a Navy brat, so I can't really answer that question, but I did live in Norfolk, Virginia for a long time. Interesting question. Will we have a copy of this video? Yes, I know Gina's going to be posting recordings of all of these. You know, she has only about 20 plus presentations to put on YouTube. No big deal. Thank you, Will. I hope everybody is going to use these. And I hope you found this presentation useful and inspiring and exciting. So any other questions, you guys? Shout out. Let's see, we still have plenty of time. So, and Rachel is from, yeah, I don't know where I'm from. born in Massachusetts, raised in Georgia. Oh, maybe there, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I'm from here, but I'm originally from Lebanon also. Lebanon.
That's more
Pennsylvania.
That's more interesting, isn't it? Okay, great, Shauna. I hope you will use them. Awesome. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Yes, congrats to Gina for all of the hard work and the successful VTI. This is the last presentation. I feel like we should do a dance or something.
Yeah.
I'll do a little dance. Thank you guys so much. This was a wonderful ending, and really totally attributes to the messaging that I like to lead with the Virtual Training Institute. Is we have so much experience throughout the state and nationally, and the more that we can do to leverage resources to help one another, then we don't have to reinvent the wheel so much. So I'm so happy that you guys were able to share this today. Yes, all of the content will be on our website. I will do my darndest. I've already started plugging away at doing it. So hopefully, I'm not going to make any promises next week, but if not, it'll be definitely before the end of the month. I'm going to put a link in the chat box here for our feedback survey. If you've participated in our other sessions, my motto has been, we can't grow unless we know. So please go ahead and provide as honest feedback as possible. It is truly anonymous and I read every single comment. So that way we can really shape future virtual training institutes to really meet the needs of our stakeholders throughout the state. So again, thank you, Rachel and Lama, for doing that. If you require proof of participation for today's session or any of our other sessions, it is available on our website, but I'll also put a second link here in the chat. You can fill this out one time for all of the sessions that you participated in. Please give our team at least a week to turn it back around. We get hundreds of requests, so it does take a little bit of time. But thank you so much for everyone's participation. And I really just want to take a second to plug what Rachel was saying. If you have an opportunity or an interest to participate in a makerspace that you find interesting or that you see, please do it. It's a really great way to learn a new tool and really expand the number of resources that you have access to at your program, but also anywhere, because these end up being open educational resources that are available to all instructors as they're created. But yeah, this has been a really, really wonderful 4th Virtual Training Institute. So thank you guys so much for summing this up and just, putting the cherry on our cake for us. And if you're interested in future institutes, we will have our next one in December. Keep an eye on our website, and I try to give updates as much as possible, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you again to Rachel and Lama.
Thank you, everyone.
Good timing. All of them are now copyable. So
Yeah.
get in there.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Don't get too hot. It's pretty hot outside.
And thank you. And another shout out to all the creators who worked on this makerspace. Really, thank you all guys for, all the hard work you put in on
Absolutely.
this. Yes.